Matt, US President Barack Obama has spoken with Russia's Vladimir Putin about the worsening crisis in Ukraine. The two leaders talked on the phone for an hour today. Mr. Obama requested direct talks between Ukraine and Russia, facilitated by the international community. Now, it comes after Crimea's parliament voted to leave Ukraine and join Russia, promising a referendum in 10 days. The US says any split would violate international law, imposing visa bans and threatening further sanctions unless Moscow diffuses the crisis. And European leaders have held an emergency summit announcing their own sanctions against Russia. Ukraine's acting Prime Minister also spoke, saying his military is ready to protect the country.
All right, let's get more detail now from 7's Paul Kadak live in Kiev. Paul, it is getting pretty tense now over this Crimea split.
Yeah, Matt, a lot of talk about trying to de-escalate this crisis, but fuel has really been added to the fire by this decision by the Crimean Parliament to join with Russia. And it's seen more clashes between pro-Russian and pro-Ukrainian protests in Crimea. And the military moves continue too. The latest, an old Russian warship was sunk at the entrance to a Crimean harbour, effectively trapping 5 Ukrainian ships. Now, this call for a referendum on March the 16th for Crimeans to vote on splitting with Ukraine has also been widely criticised. The new Ukrainian government called it an illegitimate decision by an illegitimate government, that Crimea can't simply decide by itself to leave Ukraine. And he's been backed by US President Barack Obama.
Any discussion about the future of Ukraine must include the legitimate government of Ukraine. In 2014, we are well beyond the days when borders can be redrawn over the heads of democratic leaders.
And Paul, we've heard from Ukraine's Prime Minister.
Yeah, Arsenia Yatsenyuk was in Brussels to talk with EU leaders trying to get political and economic help for Ukraine. He was pretty strident in his press conference, saying that Crimea was and always will be part of Ukraine, that a peaceful solution is still possible. He admitted that Ukraine is outmatched militarily by Russia, but Ukrainians are ready to protect their country. He made a fairly impassioned plea. He said simply, "Step back, guys, just stop. We are entering a mess, and you as Russians will be responsible." He says Ukraine is ready to talk, but not to surrender.
Having Russian boots on the ground and Russian tanks is unacceptable in the 21st century. And who knows the limits? Tell me. President Putin, Mr. Putin, tear down this wall, the wall of intimidation, the wall of military aggression, and let's build up new type of relations.
Memories of Ronald Reagan, I reckon, in that statement. Thank you, Paul. And Paul Kadak will have a full report in 7 News.